Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about water. Water is one of the most important essential resources on the planet. So, guess what? It's important. And understanding where it comes from, where it goes, kind of like Cotton Eye Joe. No one's as old as I am, sorry. Is very important to you. You might be in an area where water is scarce, or you might live near a water treatment plant. You should know what goes on there. You should know where you get your water from. You should know what's going on in your own life. So let's take a look at those things right now. So ask yourself, do you know where the water that you drink, shower in, wash your dishes, wash your clothes, do you know where that comes from? You might say, yeah, the faucet. Okay, fair. But where does the faucet and the water company get their water from? Does it fall out of the sky? Is it just rainwater that they collect? Do you live near a creek or a river or stream? So water gets collected from those places. It gets processed and treated in a water treatment plant, and then it will get sent to your home. And then also think about when you flush it down the toilet and when it goes down the drain. Where does that water go? Does it just, bye, it's gone? It also goes to a water treatment plant, a wastewater treatment plant. And then that water, all the yucky stuff gets cleaned out of it, and then it gets treated and is called reclaimed water, and it can go back in the environment or back to us. And all that leftover stuff is called sludge. If you want to have nightmares and stuff, you can look at what is done with sludge and what's in it. It's a fun time. So you should know the water cycle. You've probably heard it many times, but if not, it's right here. Here's a picture of it. You can pause this video and kind of look at the picture and look at each part of it, of this simplified illustration. So what you should understand from seeing this is water doesn't go away. You know, after like you see a puddle and then it's very hot out and it evaporates, it's not gone. That water has just changed from liquid to gas, and now it's in the air around us. That's, think of in the summer where it's really humid and you feel sticky and stuff. There's a lot more water vapor, gas, in the air around us. Then it can condense and form clouds. You see condensation every time you take a shower. It's on the mirror in your bathroom. That's the water vapor. Vapor means gas that was in the air, and the mirror was cooler than the air around you. So it turned back from being a gas to a liquid. You see it if it's really hot outside and you bring a glass of water outside. That sweat that's on the glass of water, or if you have like a drink from McDonald's and it gets on the outside of your drink, that didn't come from inside your cup, that came from the air around you. It was water vapor, water gas that you couldn't see, that turned back into liquid, that condensed. So condensation is going from gas to liquid, and then sometimes that condensed water will rain out. And when we talk about weather, that's going to be we'll explain how that happens and why that happens and when it happens. But that's called precipitation. You can have rain, snow, sleet, hail. So you could have liquid water come out, or you could have some kind of solid like snow as an ice crystal. So on Earth, we find water in all three forms of matter: solid, liquid, gas. There are other forms of matter, but we're not gonna go there right now. So water can run off and become part of rivers and streams. It can seep into the ground. That's called infiltration, and it can become groundwater. Hey, here's something exciting. This groundwater can go up, 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 and down, 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 depending on if it's raining or dry. But it actually will match up with, and what they should have drawn is a straight line right here to connect it to the river, because the groundwater will match up with like a river system's water. Neat. So let's take just a quick look at some things, and then we'll go from there. So where do we find water on Earth? Most of our Earth is covered with water. 71% of Earth's surface is water. That's why they call it the blue planet. If you look at Earth from space, you'll see it looks very blue. That's our water. Most of that water, okay, so think of 100% of the water on Earth. Most of that, 97%, is salt water. Can you drink salt water? Nope, don't do that. I think I have to make a video, but I'll make a video on osmosis, and that'll help you understand why you don't ever, ever, ever drink salt water. Okay, you'll get sick and dehydrate. That's the short end. Only 3% of Earth's water is fresh water. That's the water that gives us, every human, water to drink. That's what we water our plants with. That's what we use in industry for anything. That tiny bit of the water. Okay, so this tiny, out of like 100%, like the pie, like this tiny little bit is fresh. Most of that fresh water is frozen. It's in the polar ice caps. So probably about 1%, right here it says 0.7%, so you can think of it as 1% of the water on Earth is fresh and available for us to use. So 7 billion plus people, plus plants, plus animals are all sharing like 0.7% of the water on Earth. So yeah, water's not going to go away, but a lot of the water we have we can't use for drinking and for making crops grow and that sort of thing. So we need to take better care and be better stewards with our water. So this needs to happen on 3 levels, and I'm going to try to make sure I highlight this anytime I have an environmental science video. That should happen on the individual level, as in us, me, myself, you, yourself. You should try to use a little bit less water. Like if you're in the shower for an hour, that's too long. Okay, take like a half hour. Okay, cut your time down by like a couple minutes each day until you're not wasting water. So that's important for individuals to be conscious of the water we use. But corporations, like industry, and farms, large farms, need to also be more cautious of the water they're using. Those are the human beings, and industry use about the same amount of water, but these large farms use so much more water than any individual could. So change needs to happen on several levels, at the government level, the corporate level, and at the individual level. And if these things don't happen, then we're going to not have enough water to go around. Okay, I'm not trying to scare you. I want you to be aware of what's going on. So where can we find our water? Lakes, rivers, streams, wetlands. Around where we are, we have like a river, we have swampland, we're kind of close to the ocean, and guess what? That's not fresh water. So these are our sources of fresh water. The largest freshwater source in America are the Great Lakes, where I grew up. So they're a precious resource for America. And then the largest freshwater lake, if I'm not mistaken, is Lake Baikal, which I think is in Russia. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, and I didn't research that before I started this video. But you can look that up yourself, and if I'm wrong, tell me. And if I'm right, tell me. I like knowing if I'm right or wrong. So there are different river systems all across the world. The Amazon River system is the largest. You can think of the Mississippi River in America. You can think of the Nile River in Egypt, and those are all river systems. Some are much larger than others. You probably live close to a creek or a river. Most people do. And a watershed is any area that's drained by a river. So if you don't live like, here's my house, here's the river, you still live in a watershed. Okay, so that's the area when it rains where the water comes and eventually flows into that river. So here's something that we should all know about. Pollution dumped into a watershed. So let's say I, pour some paint down the drain near my house. I'm like, it's fine. It's just like this much. Well, that can spread into the local river. That can affect animal life and plant life in the river. And if everybody's just doing this tiny little bit, it's not a tiny little bit anymore. So we have to be very aware of what we're doing. And again, we have to be aware of what other large corporations are doing and call them out if they're polluting our environment. Some pollutions you might hear of that are common in water systems are phosphates. You find those in laundry detergents. They cause this word eutrophication. That means